Alright, still catching up on GAC videos. This is a really old one. This is against my guildmate Mythov. He and I decided to have a little fun with it. Try and max out points for one another while still being competitive. So we came to an agreement. I should have known better because it was Mythov's idea and I ended up losing, and I don't think there's any coincidence there. I'm also just bad. Although I did somehow make it to Kyber despite all my losses. I mean, as much as I'm glad that I made it to Kyber this season, I don't know how you or one doesn't win all three matches in any given round and still makes it to Kyber. That seems a little strange. But again, I'm still happy I made it to Kyber, although just barely. So in the last video, I was continuing to try have a very one-sided dialogue about the current civil state of affairs in the United States. But I'm tired of talking about it, and that's not to say it's not worth talking about, because it absolutely is, and the conversation needs to go into much more depth, and can't be, face value kind of conversations. I mean, you have to go in depth about it. And I said in previous videos, that's why I really would like more black cops. We have a good portion of cops in New York City are minorities, whether that's black, Hispanic. Not quite as many Asians, certainly in certain precincts where it's very beneficial to have Asian cops, like Chinatown. Not trying to be racist, just fact. But I would like more minority cops, not just here, again, because New York is pretty good about that. But in other parts of the country, the police forces kind of all look the same. Although I will say, in New York State, I have noticed that probably 99% of New York State troopers are white. I think I've seen maybe one black New York State trooper my entire life. Admittedly, there aren't as many of them as there are like NYPD cops, for instance, but just throwing that out there. But I do think that minority cops, especially African American cops, have a unique perspective, and are able to see both sides of it. Just because a cop is black, or a black guy is a cop, or a black woman is a cop, doesn't mean that they don't face racism. And I mentioned it in another video, a previous video. They get called Uncle Tom, sure, but they're not in uniform 24 hours a day. So chances are even black cops have been on the receiving end of racism, because they're wearing civilian clothes their other half of their life. So I do think that they have a rather unique perspective that we all need to understand and appreciate a little better. And I don't think it's constructive to call a black cop Uncle Tom. And I don't think that it's constructive to assume that just because someone doesn't look like you means they're up to no good. Living in New York City, there are plenty of white folk up to no good. And that's just here. I know that that's no different anywhere else. Anyway. So, we need to sort our fucking shit out. That's for sure. It's not gonna happen overnight. Every time I think that we are getting better as a country, something else happens. And not for nothing, if you're a street cop, dealing with the public, like, especially like Chauvin, you gotta fucking know that you're being watched. I mean, this is why and it used to be a very unpopular position to have, but I'm feeling less alone lately. I'm for body cameras because body cameras are going to protect cops from bullshit allegations, and body cameras are going to protect the public from shitbag cops. It's that simple. My opinion in most things, and I've said it before on this channel, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. So why not protect yourself and protect the public and have body cameras? New York has gotten so much better about body cameras. Now, sure, there's an issue where there are instances where cops respond to a job and they don't turn their body cameras on, or they even turn their body cameras off. That's a problem. And from what I can tell, those situations are being dealt with. Sure, you're not going to get that evidence back, I guess, even though you never had it to begin with. But there are affirmatively administrative and legal consequences to not turning your body camera on or turning it off. Look, does that mean that some people aren't going to necessarily get away with aren't going to get away with tickets, myself included? Yes, but you know what? I'll make that trade. I got pulled over by a highway cop probably like 6 months ago, and the first thing he said, and admittedly I don't really like highway cops even here in the city, or especially here in the city, but he pulls me over, and I have something on I have my cuffs on my gear shift, among other things. So I know he saw my cuffs and some other paraphernalia. I did not show him my shield, nor did I even say who I was or where I worked, because the first thing he said was, "I'm Officer so-and-so, just let you know this is all being recorded," and I saw he had a body cam, and I did not say anything about what I do, who I am, or anything like that. I'm not asking for professional courtesy because I'm not going to be that guy that gets jammed up trying to get out of a ticket. I gave him my license, gave him my registration, got the ticket, ate the ticket, paid it off. That's it. So body cams are good. Because was I guilty of the ticket? Was it fair that I got the ticket? Objectively, yes. Did I like getting the ticket? No. He knew who I was without me having to say it. And now maybe, if I had said something, he would have let me go. Or maybe not. Not fucking worth it. I'm not getting jammed up over a fucking $100 and whatever ticket. I'll eat the fucking ticket. I made the illegal U-turn. Objectively, statutorily, that's on me. It's not his responsibility to let me off. And it doesn't mean I'm entitled to be let off just because I have a shield, because that's wrong. Now, if a cop decides to let you go on their own, that's fine. I'm not going to get jammed up because I didn't ask for it. If a cop pulls me over and says, "You know what, go ahead and get out of here," that's his or her prerogative. I didn't ask for it. I'm not abusing my position. That's my opinion anyway. So, no, you'll never see me asking to get let out of a ticket, right? Now, is it a little fugazi that I have my handcuffs on my gear shift? Sure, you could say that and you're entitled to that opinion. Personally, I don't think that it is. But it just may be a difference in opinion. But I'm sure as shit not asking to get let out of a ticket. That is just, nothing good is going to come from that. if you're on the job. If you're a civilian, do whatever you want because you're a civilian. But I do think that government employees are and should be held to a higher standard. It's public service. It's public service for a reason. It's not get out of jail free card service. It's public service. I don't even know where the fuck I was talking about before this digression. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just feeling down on my job. And I don't like that, but I just don't want to be associated with bad people. I mean, the bad people are supposed to be on the other side of things, right? We're not supposed to be dealing with bad people amongst us. I mean, look, like I said before, you're not going to get it right 100% of the time. People make mistakes. That's just fucking life. That's just being fucking human. But at a certain point, someone's behavior is just unreasonable and they should not have a shield and a gun. And that's not limited to cops. I mean, there are plenty of rent-a-badges that should not have shields, quote-unquote shields or guns. I mean, there was a fat fuck rent-a-badge who pulled a gun on a uniformed sheriff's deputy because he had his firearm on. I don't even remember, it was might have been some government building. But funnily enough, or maybe not so fucking funny, it was a black sheriff's deputy. Full uniform, shield displayed, everything displayed, weapon on his hip. And the rent-a-badge tried to detain him and pulled his firearm on him. Luckily, no one got hurt. But, who the fuck is a rent-a-badge? I'm talking about, private, quote-unquote, security, a.k.a. either retired cops or fat fuck buffy nerds that just want to have a fucking gun. Those people should not have guns. If you're a retired cop, okay, fine, maybe that's one thing. But private security that's not a government employee, why the fuck are you having a gun, man? I mean, even here in New York City, NYPD do private security details, so to speak. It's called paid detail. If you go to a Barnes & Noble, there's a Barnes & Noble in Manhattan on 86th Street. I don't know if it'll survive Corona, but there's a Barnes & Noble, 86th Street between Lex and 3rd. Not too far from where I grew up. But that Barnes & Noble has a paid detail. There's a cop there almost every night. That's their job. You stay in the Barnes & Noble and make sure nothing happens. So, and I'd be willing to bet that a cop that works paid detail with something like that is going to cost the company a lot less than a private security firm. Because I feel like private security firms make a shit ton of money for very little work. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am pro Second Amendment, but to a degree. I don't think that, although from a legal perspective, the Second Amendment may cover statutorily, your right to an assault rifle. I just don't see why it's necessary. Do you have the right to protect yourself and your home and your family or your business? I think absolutely. That's why, I do believe in the Second Amendment. But do you need an assault rifle to do that? No. If anything, a shotgun is probably far more effective at home defense than an assault rifle. Assault rifles are cumbersome. There are high-powered rounds, but you have to be accurate. Handguns, same thing. They're not high-powered rounds. They're not assault rifle rounds. They're pistol rounds, but you still have to be accurate. And sure, handguns are much smaller than shotguns and assault rifles, so maybe that's your preference. But if someone's breaking into my home and it's dark, I want a shotgun. Why? Because it's loud, and whether you choose buckshot or slug, slug is just gonna, there's not gonna be much of that home invader left, honestly. But buckshot spreads out, spread shot, any kind of spread shot. Even if your aim is terrible, you're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit something. But I don't understand the point of owning an assault rifle. If you compete professionally or whatever, fine, that's one thing, but that's single shot, right? You don't need 3-round burst or fully automatic capability to compete in assault rifle target shooting. So I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm a New Yorker, and even though I work in the field that I'm in, I'm still comparatively, I don't want to say liberal, but progressive. I used to shoot assault rifles all the time. Used to own one. But as I got older, meaning when I was no longer a teenager, I just didn't see the need for it. I have 2 handguns. I have 2 Glocks. I have a Glock 19, which is my standard issue, my agency department issue. That's my duty weapon. And then I have a Glock 43. And even when I'm on duty, I'm not in uniform, so it's not an issue. But even when I'm at the office or if I'm working, unless I'm doing a search warrant or if I'm doing a surveillance or something, I'm wearing my 43. I'm not wearing my 19 unless I'm doing a warrant or something physical or in the field. If I'm walking around the office, I'm wearing my 43. 43 is a single stack, 6-in-1, meaning 6 rounds in the magazine, 1 round in the chamber, and the pipe, condition 1 for you military guys and gals. Yes, we do carry condition 1. I actually used to date a Navy lieutenant that was mortified at the fact that I carried my weapon condition 1 at all times. But anyone in law enforcement understands that if you do not have a round in the pipe, and God forbid you need to draw your weapon, you're already dead. So that's the reason for that. That's why you practice good trigger discipline and muzzle discipline. You could offer me an AR-15 or my Glock 43. I will happily take my Glock 43 because I guarantee you I'm going to outmaneuver some fucking fat fuck with an AR-15 that just has an AR-15 because they're super buff and they really like guns. And I like guns. I love guns. I shot NRA junior ranks all throughout camp when I was like, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever. Granted, it's 22 long rifle, so it's like that's like one step up from a BB gun, but I've been shooting guns my whole life, even though I grew up in Manhattan. But I just don't see a need for an AR, man. I don't see the need for it. Or at the very least, make everyone licensed. We need licenses to drive cars, right? Why not have everyone licensed for a firearm? I really don't think that impinges on any rights. People just don't want the government to know that they own firearms. And I just don't really think that there's any reason for it. Again, harkens back to if you're not doing anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about. So, I don't get why we all need licenses to drive vehicles, but we don't all need licenses for firearms. Yes, more people die from car accidents than guns, but there are a lot more cars than guns, I think. I don't have the numbers, but that's just my suspicion. Anyway, clearly I did not beat this Ray team. And I'm sorry if I've offended anyone. Obviously, that's not my intention. But I mean, that's all just my opinion. And again, I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I just don't think that necessarily means that you need an assault rifle. By the way, how hilarious is this DDK versus Ray thing? I really thought it would work, but not so much. All right, again, I'm not a bleeding heart liberal. I am a moderate, but that or those are my stances on the issues. I'm actually going to cut this video right here because obviously I'm not beating Ray with this shit. So, see you in the next one.